All right, all, I think we're ready to go here. So please give them the attention that you think they deserve, which would be the same attention that we'll give everybody. So let me just open this. The resumes, we'll get to those, are due pretty quickly as well, if I remember right.
Okay, so our topic was job analysis. I'm Kelly.
I'm Sandy.
Rebecca. Okay, so what exactly is job analysis? The definition is it's a process to use to identify and determine in detail the particular job, duties, and requirements, and the relative importance of these duties for the given specific job. So a job analysis isn't actually used to analyze the person doing the job, but it's used to analyze the job itself. And after being completed, it's used to write accurate job descriptions and job specifications for possible applicants looking at the job. So what's looked for in a job analysis is the knowledge, skill, abilities, work behavior, tasks related to the job, competency, and culture aspects, all only for that specific job. It's used when, there's a bunch of ways it could be used. It's used when someone leaves an organization to be used their opinion after they had left to see how to improve the job better and what they had done. And it's used in creating new positions to see what aspects need to be applied to that position. It's also used if there's a change in it. So if there's a technology change or a program change for a certain position, it's used after that. And for job redesign. So if something wasn't working for a specific job, after we redesign and do the job analysis again. Why is it used? It's used to identify job-related tasks per each job. So they're looking for personality, experience, and education requirements. And it establishes tasks and competencies required for each job, so what's needed to get the job done. And it gives company legal protection. It's used to assess different aspects of processes of a specific job. So over selection, job analysis is used to develop job duties and job specifications, develop appropriate salary that should be offered to a candidate, and develop minimum. Okay. Training, it's identify training contents and needs, develop methods of training, develop assessment tests to measure effectiveness of training, and develop equipment needed to deliver the proper training. Okay. For compensation, job analysis determines a base pay for employees, so they look for the relationship between the different factors and compensation. So they look for the relationship between skill level, different work environments, which could be hazardous, or it could be physical type work environments. Responsibility for that job, so it could be if you're a higher level or lower level job, and levels of education needed, high school, master's degree, bachelor's degree, doctorate. So, and it compares that with compensation. It's also used with performance appraisal, so it identifies goals and objectives, develops performance standards, develops evaluation criteria, and duties that would be needed to be evaluated for that specific job. There are different types of job analysis. One is observation, so the analysis records what the worker does, how long it does, and who supervises. There's continuous, which is over a long period of time, and sampling, which is just random observations of jobs. Interviews, employees are interviewed under a standard format interview, so the interviewer is looking for new information about the job, and sometimes we'll use more than one employee to interview at the same time to get as much information as possible. There's different questionnaires, so they're structured, which is a standardized list that are related to the job, and it says things like time spent, supervised, and there's also open-ended. So it describes the worker describes the work that they do themselves in their own words and not under a certain format. So that's an example of a job analysis questionnaire. Just gives certain, just quick info, and then there's a little bit of open-ended at the end, like what's the general purpose of the job. The employee answers that. And then some advantages we didn't go over for job analysis, besides the performance appraisal, selection, all that, is it provides first-hand job-related information and helps in creating right job employee fit. And disadvantages is it's time-consuming and may involve personal biasness, as well as it involves a lot of human effort for the job analysis to be completed. So I, in turn, I asked for Monty Marketing, and they do an exit survey anytime there's a turnover for an employee. And in the survey, it says what job they had done, what they could have done better to make the job better for them, that they could have stayed. My sister's a teacher, and she gets observed, but not only is she being observed, but the curriculum that she's teaching is being observed. So if she's elementary, so it's going to be different than high school. So there's different standards for that. And then my dad is a retired cop, and his chief of police he said that they would interview as well as observe exactly what needs to be done per like lieutenant, sergeant, detective, because they all have their own job description, so they get observed for each of those. So just to go over, in job analysis, looks for requirements for jobs, leads to job descriptions and job specifications, and interviews, questionnaires, and observations of types of job analysis. And then these are the factors of it.
I'm talking about workflow analysis. It's the first step towards improving your business processes. There are three main steps: is design, position, and job. The first one is design. It's the process of analyzing tasks necessary for production of a product or service. Basically, what's the steps to create it, and how would somebody put it together to produce the product or service. The next one is position. It's a set of job duties performed by a particular person. The example I use is a nurse, because they care for patients, and there's different job duties that they also do, which is filling out forms, just giving patients checkup. After that, it falls into three areas: raw inputs, equipment, and HR, as it say up there. But it's just how they would develop the workflow analysis. The first one is raw input. It's what material or data is needed and what information is needed to develop the workflow. Basically, how would they contact customers? How would they talk to their higher ups? What steps they got to take to create the product? Next would be the equipment. What tools would they need to perform the job duties? And the last step is HR. So basically, the HR people find what skills, knowledge, and abilities they need to get the job done right. Basically, physical and mentally, how would they perform the job, and is it done efficiently? And then after they figure out those three, it's activity. What tasks are required in production of the output? What would those employee need? What tasks are the employee doing to create the output? The last one is output. How do they measure it, and what product or service is being created? For like construction workers, they're building houses. So how would they create it? How would they measure what they need for the success of building stuff? So developing workflow analysis requires individual and team structure to perform everything efficiently and effectively to get the workflow working successfully. The next one is design structure. Basically, the individual must cooperate to create outputs in the organization. Talk about teamwork and how somebody would develop their individual skills to create output for their organization. The design and structure affects how employees work and how the company is run. There's 4 ways that the organization can be structured: either centralized, decentralized, functional, or product or customer based. The first one is centralized. Basically, all the decisions made at the top, whatever the higher up people decide, it goes down to the lower end workers, and then they'll just follow the rules and regulations that they set. The second one is decentralized. Basically, the ideas and decisions are spread throughout the organization. That's when it's functional, basically, depending on the areas of the department, human resource, IT, finance, or marketing, it's divided, and each department basically work in smaller groups. And the last one is product or customer. Main focus on subdivision could be either product or customer. Like Nike, they focus on their athletic customer. So design and structure brings people together to collaborate to produce a desired output. For like bakeries and their staff, they basically want the outcome to have is a cake. Basically today I talked about the workflow analysis and design and structure of an organization.
So within the job analysis, there's the job description and job specification. And the job description is a list of tasks, duties, and responsibilities for a particular job, and it's normally listed within the job postings. So the job description is a written statement which describes duties, responsibilities, required qualifications, and reporting relationships of a particular job. It's also based on objective information obtained through the job analysis. So job descriptions include the job title, job objective, or overall purpose statement, summary of the general nature or level of the job, description of the broad function and scope of the position, list of duties or tasks performed that are critical to success. Additional items that are more specific to recruiting situations include job specifications, standards, and requirements, job location where work will be performed, the equipment used to perform the job, and any collective bargaining agreements if employees are members of the union. So job descriptions should change with the company and should always be evolving because the company is never stagnant. And when effectively developed, job descriptions are communication tools that are significant in an organization's success. So a good job description sets clear expectations for what an organization expects from its employees, but a poorly written job description adds to workplace confusion, hurts communication, and can make employees feel like they do not know what's expected from them. So the key parts of the job description have a job title, and that should reflect the duties and responsibilities of the job, should be a summary of the tasks, duties, and responsibilities, and also a list of essential duties with detailed specifications of the tasks involved in carrying out the position. So in order to write an effective job description, HR needs to have the proper information on the jobs. So that's where job information comes in, and places HR can go to find effective information. There are three main sources for this. The first is incumbents, for people who currently hold a position in an organization, normally for common non-exempt jobs, and many times HR can supplement the information they use in the job descriptions with their own observations and from interviews with supervisors. The second is Dictionary of Occupational Titles, which is published by the U.S. Department of Labor. And the third is Occupational Information Network, or ONET, which is an online job description database written by the Labor Department. So job specifications, they provide characteristics, knowledge, education, skills, and experience needed to perform the job, with an overview of the specific job requirements. This is developed from the job analysis and from a detailed job description. The difference between a job description and the job specifications, so the job specifications give detailed descriptions of the requirements, whereas the job description defines the duties and responsibilities of the job in detail. So there are three key parts of job specifications. So that's knowledge, skills, and abilities that are needed to perform the job. So this really looks at the qualities of the person performing the job and not just the responsibilities of the job. So the first key part of job specifications is knowledge. It's factual, procedural, and information necessary for successfully performing the task. The two other parts are skills and abilities. A skill is an individual's level of proficiency at performing particular tasks, and ability is a general enduring capability that an individual possesses. So some other important aspects of job specifications are job-related licensing, certifications, or personality traits. So these things are not directly observable, but they're also extremely important to making sure the talent is lined up with the correct job. So just an overview, the